The Legend of Kiri, Naruto and Terumi. Complete story. Naruto Uzumaki, the eldest son of two legends, found himself in an office that resembled the Hokage's. However, looking out the window made it clear that this wasn't Konoha but Kirigakure. The dense mist enveloped the village, creating a tranquil and mysterious atmosphere that he found surprisingly comforting. Suddenly, a soft voice interrupted him from the door, pulling him out of his thoughts. "What are you doing here, Naruto-kun? You should be resting." "Leave the rest to me," said Mei Uzumaki, his trusted advisor and wife, formerly known as Mei Terumi in the previous Mizukage. Noticing his pensive expression, Mei understood he was deep in thought. Naruto turned his gaze to her, his eyes reflecting a storm of uncertainty. "I'm reflecting on my life and wondering if what I'm about to do is the right thing," he confessed, his voice laden with a mix of doubt and fear, while his gaze drifted toward the horizon, pondering his next actions. Mei approached calmly, her steps barely making a sound in the office. She stood beside him, their shoulders brushing as they observed the village. The villagers, unaware of the lurking danger, lived their lives peacefully thanks to Naruto's tireless efforts. Mei turned to him. She loved seeing his blue eyes, though now she saw doubt in those eyes. "I suppose it all started the day your triplet siblings were born," Mei said softly. Naruto nodded slowly, diving into the memories of his days in Konoha. "Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was October 10th. The Kyuubi's attack marked a before and after in my life," he shared, his eyes reflecting the nostalgia of those times before everything became complicated. "I was very young, barely 4 years old. That day was chaotic, but thanks to the efforts and support of the Sannin, they were able to contain the Kyuubi and seal it." Mei listened attentively, feeling the emotional weight in each of Naruto's words. "That day changed everything for you, didn't it?" He nodded, the intensity of those memories reflected in his eyes. The Kyuubi's roar, the chaos and destruction, and the desperation of the village were things that had deeply marked him. Mei took Naruto's hand, squeezing it tightly, conveying her unconditional support. "You've overcome so much, Naru. And together we can face any challenge that comes. I trust you and your decisions," Mei said firmly and lovingly, her eyes shining with a mix of pride and hope for a bright future alongside the person she loved. Naruto took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his responsibilities but also the support Mei provided. With renewed determination, he nodded. "Thank you, Mei, for always being by my side. That's why we're together, Naru." "Together for life," Mei replied. Naruto smiled at her and added, "In good times and bad." She returned the smile. "Until death do us part," they said in unison. Mei wrapped her husband in a firm embrace, letting her body convey all the love she felt at that moment. She buried her face in his chest, seeking to console him with each heartbeat. "They were able to seal the Kyuubi in your siblings. But in the process, they lost sight of what truly mattered. They lost you," Mei whispered with a tone filled with sorrow, her words resonating with the sadness for what her husband had endured. Naruto closed his eyes slowly, letting his wife's words penetrate the depths of his being. "From that day on, everything changed," Naruto said, his voice trembling, laden with repressed emotions. "My father stopped showing me that warm smile and focused on his duty as Hokage and as a father to my siblings. And my mother, well, she seemed to be everywhere except by my side." The words hung in the air, imbued with sadness. Mei nodded in understanding. Sometimes, the sacrifices parents make for the good of their children can lead them down difficult paths. By focusing on supporting your siblings, they forgot that you also needed their love, she said with sorrow. Naruto sighed deeply. "Yes, I suppose so. But sometimes I wonder if all the sacrifice they made for my siblings was really worth it." At that moment, Naruto's sensory ability detected several chakras 10 kilometers from the village. His senses sharpened instantly, his fists clenched with determination. He knew what he had to do: protect his village, his wife, and his children. Mei noticed the subtle change in her husband and moved closer to him, holding on firmly. Still embracing Naruto, Mei raised her hand and caressed her husband's face, conveying her support with a warmth only she could provide. In my opinion, it wasn't worth it. But what's important is that you're here, and having you with me has been the best thing that ever happened to me, she expressed tenderly, recalling how her life had improved since Naruto came into her life. Naruto nodded gratefully and gave her a playful smile. I can still remember how we met for the first time, my dear pervert-chan. A blush colored Mei's cheeks at the memory, and she stepped back from the embrace, averting her gaze shyly. You don't need to remind me every time, Naruto, she whispered softly, covering her face with her hands in an attempt to hide her blush. Naruto wrapped Mei in a warm hug from behind and gave her a gentle kiss on the neck, causing Mei's blush to deepen. A sigh escaped Naruto's lips as memories flooded him once more. Naruto rested his head on his wife's shoulder, seeking comfort in her closeness. Mei, every time I went to my mother's room looking for a moment together, I always got the same response, Naruto shared, his voice filled with sadness. She always said, I'm sorry, Naru, but they need me. You can wait. I don't think she meant to hurt me with those words, but they really caused me deep pain. It must have been incredibly hard for you, feeling displaced that way, Mei said with sadness in her voice. Naruto nodded, the sadness still present in his gaze. Yes, it was. I know I was only 4 years old, but I was smarter than other kids, and that's why I could understand what they really meant between the lines. They are Jinchuriki and need my love and protection for the burden they carry. Mei turned towards Naruto, meeting his gaze, and felt her heart tighten at the sight of the suffering in her husband's eyes. With a sigh, Naruto continued speaking, his voice tinged with bitterness. I remember 4 years passing since my siblings were born, and it became increasingly evident that my parents were more concerned about them. However, they didn't forget details like feeding me, he added with an ironic tone. When I entered the ninja academy, I graduated quickly, being considered a prodigy of my generation, but they never cared. I tried so hard to get their attention, but everything I did was in vain. The pain in his voice was palpable, and Mei felt a deep sadness for her husband's childhood. It must have been very hard for you, feeling invisible despite all your achievements, she said softly, moving closer to him and taking his hand tenderly. Yes, it was difficult for my young self, said Naruto, managing a sad smile. Mei saw that expression and quickly took Naruto's cheeks in her hands, looking at him with pride. You are the perfect man. I've told you before, but you really are on another level. Your effort has made you the best, she praised sincerely. Naruto returned the smile, grateful for Mei's comforting words. You know, I also have my incredible and sexy wife, the most beautiful woman I've ever held in my arms, he joked, trying to lighten the mood. Baka, you know I'm the only woman you've had in your life, she replied playfully. They both laughed, but the smile they shared faded when Naruto adopted a sad expression, recalling another event that had deeply marked him. Naruto walked over to the sofa and dropped onto it heavily, his gaze lost in a distant memory. I still have the day I graduated etched in my mind. I ran excitedly to my father's office to give him the news. But he barely looked at me and simply nodded, he shared, his voice filled with disappointment. Mei, now sitting beside him, frowned at hearing the story. Not a single word of congratulations, she asked with irritation. Nothing, Naruto replied sadly, playing absently with a lock of Mei's beautiful hair. Minato just gave a nod. It was as if everything I did wasn't enough to capture his attention. The resentment in his words was palpable, and Mei felt a wave of sadness and anger for her husband's past. I can't imagine how much that must have hurt, darling, she said softly, resting her head on his shoulder, offering comfort with her closeness. Naruto sighed, feeling comforted by her presence. It was hard, but now I know I have someone who truly values and understands me, he murmured, gently stroking Mei's hair. Of course, silly, I will always be with the man who made me the happiest woman in the world, Mei said with a big smile. Naruto looked at her with gratitude and hugged her tightly, seeking solace in her arms. Thank you, Mei. Having you by my side now makes any pain from the past nothing compared to the love you give me. I will always be here for you, Naru, May affirmed with determination, returning his embrace with equal strength. You will never be alone as long as I'm with you. Flashback several years ago. Naruto clearly remembered the day when, at only 8 years old, he had come home hoping to share his achievement with his mother. The lack of recognition from his father had left a void in his heart, and he had trusted that his mother would fill that void. Arriving at the yard and seeing Kushina with his siblings, practicing shuriken and kunai throws, Naruto had felt a mix of joy and anticipation. With a radiant smile, he ran towards his mother, eager to share his accomplishment with her. "Mom, Mom, look, look," he exclaimed, waving his headband proudly. Kushina turned at the sound of her eldest son's voice. Her gaze briefly lit up, but only for a moment. "That's great, Naru," she said quickly, before returning her attention to her other children's throws. "But I'm busy now, can we talk later?" Naruto felt his heart sink at those words. The headband he held with so much pride seemed to lose its shine. "Yes, sure," he murmured, lowering his gaze and stepping back. The joy he had felt vanished, replaced by a sense of loneliness and disappointment. But this time, Naruto wasn't going to stay silent. The lack of enthusiasm in his mother's words caused a whirlwind of emotions in his heart. Feeling hurt and angry, he couldn't contain his frustration any longer. "Is that all you'll say? What is that supposed to mean? Won't you say anything else?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with pain and rage. For a moment, he saw surprise in Kushina's eyes. Her loving son had never yelled at her, but then her expression changed to an annoyed look. "Enough. Watch your tone with me," Kushina said with a severe look. Naruto stood paralyzed, his small body trembling with the intensity of his emotions. Tears began to well up in his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. "I just wanted you to be proud of me," he murmured, barely audible, as he lowered his gaze to the ground. Kushina sighed, softening her expression a bit, but not enough to repair the damage. "Naru, I'm proud of you, but you have to understand that your siblings need my attention too. You're strong and capable. I know you can handle things on your own," she said, trying to sound comforting, but failing to achieve the desired effect. "But Mom, you're always with them. I need you too," he yelled desperately, feeling the tears threatening to fall. Kushina sighed and lowered her kunai. "Naruto, they need my attention right now. You're strong and can take care of yourself better. Understand that it's not easy for me." "Not easy? What does that even mean?" Naruto replied with a lump in his throat. "I'm always alone. You and Dad only care about them. I'm your son too." Kushina looked at Naruto with sadness. "Naruto, listen to me," she began, her tone softening. "I know you feel alone and it's hard for you. But you need to understand that each of you has your own needs. I love you and your siblings equally, but sometimes I have to make tough choices. But why do you always avoid me? You always push me away. There's always a damn excuse." Naruto yelled, taking another step back, his voice filled with frustration and pain. "Naruto," began Kushina with an annoyed voice, but Naruto didn't stay to listen. He ran to his room, feeling the anger burning inside him and the desire to escape the situation. As he ran through the halls, his mother's voice called out from behind. "Naruto, come back here. We're not done talking." Kushina shouted, but Naruto didn't stop. The tears finally escaped his eyes as he sought refuge in the solitude of his room, feeling that the weight of his parents' indifference was more than he could bear. After drying his tears, Naruto adopted a determined look and headed to the Uzumaki clan scroll storage, a place where he usually found peace and solace in the ancestral knowledge of his lineage. Closing the door behind him, he struck a shelf hard. "Why can't they understand?" he murmured to himself, letting the frustration burn inside him. As his eyes roamed the vast content of the storage, one scroll in particular caught his attention. He approached and carefully took it. Unrolling it, he read the words written with great detail and precision. Byakugo no In, he pronounced aloud, absorbed in the instructions the scroll offered. To perform this technique, a large amount of chakra is not necessary. What matters is the control and flow with which you move the chakra. Once you control the flow of your chakra, use the storage seal and progressively place the chakra in it. A spark of determination shone in Naruto's eyes as he continued reading. This could work, he murmured, letting the idea sink into his mind. If I manage to master this technique, maybe they will love me again. Hope clung to his heart, mingling with the firm resolve to prove his worth and regain his parents' lost affection. Naruto immersed himself in studying the Byakugo no In technique and other teachings of the Uzumaki clan, finding in them an opportunity to channel his determination and transform his frustration into action. Every day became an opportunity to unravel the secrets of these ancestral techniques, aware that his Uzumaki heritage and the influence of the Kyuubi's chakra presented additional challenges. For he had more chakra than any Uzumaki who had ever lived in history. He trained tirelessly, wholly dedicated to concentration and chakra flow, following the scroll's instructions with fervor and dedication. However, the loneliness of his training began to weigh on him, and in moments of exhaustion, he found solace in the conversations he held with himself, seeking the strength to carry on from within. "Come on, Naruto, you can do it," he repeated to himself over and over. "Control the flow. Maintain concentration," he whispered through gritted teeth, striving to follow the scroll's directions. But even the strongest spirit can waver under the weight of solitude and frustration. One day, while practicing in a forest clearing, Naruto collapsed to the ground, feeling desperation take hold. "This is too hard. How do they expect me to achieve this without any help?" Suddenly, a noise behind him made him turn quickly, kunai in hand, ready to face any threat. However, his tension dissipated when he realized it was only an innocent squirrel searching for food. With a sigh of relief, he refocused on his training. "I can't give up. I have to prove to them that I'm capable," he murmured to himself, renewing his determination amid the loneliness. Each day, Naruto rose early and went to bed late, pushing his limits beyond imagination. "Despite everything, I have to keep going," he reminded himself, eyes fixed on his goal. "If they can't see me, then I'll make them see me. I'll be so strong they won't have a choice but to acknowledge me." Hours turned into days, and days into weeks. Naruto pushed himself harder, seeking in his training the strength and control he needed. "Come on, Naruto, just a little more. You can do it," he repeated in his mind, clinging to the hope that his effort would finally pay off. Every time he felt his strength wane, he remembered his parents' indifferent words and the emptiness those words left in his heart. That gave him the push he needed to get up and keep going. "No matter how much it costs me, I won't let them ignore me," he told himself, feeling determination burn within him. Sweat and tears mingled as he trained, but his mind held one thought: "I will prove that I am worthy of their love and recognition. I will be so strong that they cannot help but see me." As he continued his training, the scroll's words echoed in his mind: control and flow of chakra. Seal and store. Gradually, he began to notice small improvements, signs of progress that fueled his hope and determination. "Yes, this is possible," he told himself with a smile, feeling a surge of confidence. The sense of achievement, though modest, was enough to ignite a spark of optimism in his heart. With each small advance, his conviction grew stronger, and the image of a future where his parents recognized him became clearer. With a shout full of determination, Naruto proclaimed to the sky his firm conviction: "No matter how long it takes, I, Naruto Uzumaki, will succeed." His words echoed in the clearing, reverberating among the trees like a solemn vow. From that moment, his training took on new vigor. Every movement, every technique practiced, was charged with renewed energy. He rose at dawn and trained until the last ray of sunlight faded, and even then continued under the moonlight. After some time, on a rainy day, while Naruto was in his usual training, he encountered someone unexpected from the Uchiha clan. It was Itomi Uchiha, the next leader of the clan, who approached him with curiosity in her eyes. "Hey, why are you training in the rain?" asked Itomi, her voice full of kindness as she approached Naruto with a smile. She watched his movements with interest, impressed by his dedication despite the unfavorable weather. Naruto paused for a moment, surprised by Itomi's presence, but after a few seconds resumed his training. He struck a log with strength and skill, showing the progress of his training. "The rain doesn't bother me. In fact, I like it. It helps me concentrate," Naruto replied, his voice firm and determined. Itomi observed in silence for a moment, noting the intensity in Naruto's eyes, a spark of determination that intrigued her. "I can see you take this very seriously," she commented, her tone reflecting respect and admiration. "What motivates you to train so hard, even in such difficult conditions?" Naruto paused, lowering his bloodied fists as his eyes met Itomi's. "I train because I want to be strong. Stronger than anyone. I want my parents to see that I'm not someone they can ignore. I want them to recognize me as their son." Naruto's words resonated in the air, loaded with sincerity and passion that could not be ignored. Itomi could understand how he felt. "That's admirable, Naruto. Not everyone has that kind of determination," she said softly. "Would you like to train with me sometime? We could learn a lot from each other." Naruto, surprised by the offer, allowed himself a small smile. "I would like that, Miss Uchiha." Itomi laughed softly at Naruto's response. "You're a bit strange, you know. But I like that," she commented with a warm smile. She extended her hand towards Naruto. "I'm Itomi Uchiha." Naruto initially looked at Itomi with some distrust, but after a few seconds extended his hand to return the greeting. "Naruto Uzumaki," he replied, shaking her hand firmly, recognizing the sincerity in Itomi's eyes. For hours, they shared training, exchanging techniques and knowledge. Despite the age difference, Itomi did not treat Naruto condescendingly, but with respect, recognizing that he was a strong opponent despite being younger than her. She taught him some basic techniques of her clan and encouraged him to improve. "Watch," said Itomi, executing a series of fluid and precise movements. "This is part of our taijutsu style. It's effective and focuses on predicting your opponent's movements." Naruto watched intently, imitating her movements with dedication. "It's impressive," he commented, trying to replicate the technique. "Your clan has many amazing abilities." Itomi smiled, satisfied with Naruto's progress. "Yes, but your determination is what impresses me the most. Keep going, and you'll be unbeatable." Naruto nodded, feeling a spark of pride and hope. "Thanks, Itomi. I won't give up." After a few days, Itomi explained a fire jutsu to Naruto. He replicated it almost perfectly but had a question that troubled him. He decided to confide in his friend while they rested under the shade of a tree. "Why are you helping me?" Naruto asked, curiosity reflected in his eyes. Itomi looked at him with a warm smile. "Because I see potential in you, Naruto. Besides, it's fun to have someone to train with." "You don't meet someone as dedicated as you every day," she replied, showing the admiration she felt for Naruto's effort. Naruto nodded, processing her words. "Thank you, Itomi. Sometimes I feel so alone, and your company and help mean a lot to me." Itomi sat next to him, watching the sky through the tree's foliage. "We all need someone to lean on. Even though we come from different clans, we share the same passion for improvement and proving what we're capable of." Naruto smiled, feeling something warm in his heart. "I promise I'll keep trying. Not just for me, but also to show that your help hasn't been in vain." Itomi patted his shoulder. "I know you will. And I'll be here to see you succeed, my friend." After several days of joint training, Naruto received a surprising announcement. Itomi had achieved the rank of Jonin. "Really? That's incredible," exclaimed Naruto, surprised and excited by his training partner's achievement. Itomi nodded, accepting the praise modestly. "Yes, but it's not something I achieved alone. I've had good teachers and a lot of support, she explained, acknowledging the contributions of those who had guided her on her shinobi path. Naruto looked at her with determination, his eyes shining with fierce intensity. I promise I'll catch up to you and surpass you, Itomi, he declared with conviction. Itomi smiled at his declaration. I'm sure you will, Naruto. I have no doubt that you'll become one of the best shinobi in our village, she responded confidently, extending her hand to him. Naruto shook her hand firmly. Thanks, Itomi. With your help and my effort, nothing will stop me. Naruto gave her a genuine smile, rarely seen in him, which made Itomi blush slightly. You know, Itomi, he began, his voice resonating with deep gratitude, you're the first person who has truly believed in me. Itomi looked at him in surprise, then her expression softened with affection. I will always believe in you, Naruto, she said confidently. You have an indomitable spirit and a strength you haven't fully discovered yet. Naruto then turned his gaze to the beautiful sunset. Thank you, Itomi. It means a lot to me. Itomi patted his shoulder. Now, let's get back to training. I have a new technique I want to show you. Naruto nodded. Let's do it. He liked the young Uchiha's enthusiasm. She turned to look at him and offered him a beautiful smile. That smile made his heart race, and from that moment, he knew he was in love with her, and now he had another reason to become stronger and be by her side. Time passed quickly, and about a year later, Naruto found himself frustrated. Damn it, he exclaimed, feeling the anger burn inside him. Despite graduating as the top of his class, he was never assigned to a genin team, a crucial step to advance in his ninja career. Determined to change his situation, he walked with determination to the Hokage's tower. Along the way, he noticed how the adults barely looked at him, but he didn't care. Upon reaching the door of the Hokage's office, he knocked firmly and heard a "come in" from inside. He entered, trying to remain calm despite his growing frustration. Father, I need to talk to you, he announced firmly, hoping to catch Minato's attention. Naruto, what do you need? Minato responded, not looking up from his papers, which only increased his irritation. Naruto took a deep breath before speaking. I've done everything I've been asked to do. I graduated as the top of my class, but I still haven't been assigned to a genin team. Why? What more do I need to do to prove my worth? He asked, his voice trembling slightly with contained emotion. Minato sighed, looking at his son with a mix of sadness and concern. Naruto, it's not that simple. I know you've worked hard, but there are factors beyond your control. Factors beyond your control? Naruto repeated, frustration returning to his voice. I've done everything you've asked. Everything I'm supposed to do to be a good ninja. What more do you want from me? Minato stood up and walked towards Naruto, placing a hand on his shoulder. Naruto, it's not about what I want. The decisions regarding the genin teams aren't solely mine. Naruto shrugged off his father's hand, anger mixed with disappointment in his eyes. There's always an excuse, right? Always a reason to keep me sidelined. I don't want any more excuses, father. I want a chance to prove my worth. My father sat back down in his Hokage chair and looked at me with an expression I had never seen before, his eyes serious and cold. You're not ready, Naruto, he replied firmly. Wait a while, and when you're qualified, I'll give you your team. What the hell? I exclaimed, my voice filled with anger as frustration overtook me. Instantly, 4ANBU moved to surround me, ready to intervene at any moment. However, my father raised his hand, signaling them to withdraw, and spoke with a seriousness I hadn't seen before. Leave and do not return until I command you, Minato ordered, his tone firm and authoritative. My heart sank. My father's words were a devastating blow, as if all my hopes crumbled in an instant. I wanted to protest, to shout, but Minato's gaze stopped me. His unyielding expression made it clear there was no room for discussion. I looked at him with burning rage but didn't utter a word. Is that clear? He insisted, his imposing presence raising his chakra and filling the room with an intensity that made me step back. "Yes, Hokage-sama," I responded bitterly, feeling the distance between us grow with each word spoken. From that day on, he was no longer my father, just the village leader, and I was just another ninja under his command. As I left the office, memories of happier times flooded my mind. I remembered the days when I used to run to him with excitement, sharing my achievements, and how he always smiled and told me how proud he was of me. But now, that connection was broken. Walking through the streets of Konoha, a sense of desolation enveloped me. "I'm nothing to them, barely a shadow in their lives," I murmured to myself, feeling the weight of loneliness crushing my chest. When I reached the forest where I trained, I found Itomi waiting for me, her gaze full of concern upon seeing my downcast expression. "What happened, Naruto?" she asked softly, noticing my dismay. "The usual," I replied bitterly. "I'm not ready," according to him. As if he knew anything about me or my abilities, I added, letting out a sigh filled with frustration. Itomi looked at me sadly and gently took my hand. "I'm sorry, Naru. I know how hard you've worked. But don't let this stop you. You're stronger than you think." "Thank you, Itomi," I responded. "But every day it gets harder to keep going when it seems like no one cares," I confessed, revealing what I felt. Itomi moved closer and hugged me, enveloping me in a warm embrace. "I care about you." Itomi slowly approached, extending her arms to wrap me in a comforting hug. "I care about you." Her words resonated softly in my ears, filling me with a warm sensation. "Look, Naruto," she began, her voice calm. "I know things might seem difficult now, but I want you to know that I'll always be here for you. You're important to me, more than you think." Her arms surrounded me gently, as if she wanted to protect me from all my worries and fears, and I felt grateful to have her by my side in that moment when everything seemed meaningless. "Thank you, Itomi," I murmured, returning her hug. "It means a lot to me that you're here with me. I don't know what I'd do without you." However, a persistent unease crept into my mind, and I needed an answer. "Itomi?" I called, my voice barely a whisper. She looked at me tenderly, her eyes conveying the affection she felt for me. "Yes, Naruto," she responded softly, attentively awaiting my words. "Promise me you'll never leave me," I pleaded, my voice trembling, reflecting the vulnerability I felt at that moment. There was silence, and a fear gripped me, anticipating the worst. Finally, her response came like a beacon in the dark. "I promise, I'll always be with you," she affirmed, her voice resonating with reassuring certainty. Noting that doubt still lingered on my face, Itomi extended her pinky finger, a sign of promise between us. "I promise you'll always have a place in my heart," she said with a sincere smile. And I, naively, believed in her promise, a promise that would be broken over time. 7 long years have passed since that day, and while everyone around me advanced, I seemed stuck in the same place. You might wonder if I became a Jonin or Anbu during this time, right? Well, the sad reality is that I didn't. I never advanced in my ninja rank, or rather, I was never given the opportunity. Currently, the Forest of Death has become my refuge, but also a silent witness to my frustration and despair. I punched a gigantic log with tremendous fury, letting my anger and helplessness manifest with each blow. Each impact of my fist against the wood was a scream of the rage I felt. "Why?" I shouted furiously, letting my voice get lost in the forest. "I hate them all," I murmured through clenched teeth, feeling the bitterness consume me. I had trained tirelessly every day, dedicating my life to improving myself, but it all seemed in vain. Why wouldn't they give me the chance to advance? I asked with fury, feeling the anger burn inside me and clenching my fist tightly. An aura of blue chakra with red tones began to envelop me, a manifestation of the emotions I felt at that moment. My breathing became irregular, my heart pounded in my chest as if it were about to burst. With a roar of frustration, I delivered the strongest blow I had ever given in my life against the largest tree in the Forest of Death. The impact was devastating. The tree tore from the ground and flew, destroying a section of the forest in its path. The sound of the crash resonated through the air as I watched the chaos my own fury had caused. While the anger still burned inside me, I heard a voice resonate from the darkness of the forest. "Why do you torture yourself like this, Naruto?" asked a familiar voice. It was Itomi, emerging from the trees with a worried expression on her face. "What do you know?" I responded harshly. She approached calmly, ignoring my defensive attitude. "I know you're suffering," she said softly. "But you can't go on like this. Hatred won't get you anywhere. And what do you expect me to do?" I replied angrily. "I've given my all, and what have I achieved? Nothing, absolutely nothing." I shouted the last part, all my anger boiling over. Itomi moved closer, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. "You can't give up, Naruto," she insisted. My eyes met hers, my gaze severe, and I spoke frankly. "I'm not a fool, Itomi. What brings you here? You've barely seen me these days, so I doubt you came just to say hello." For a moment, I saw sadness in her expression, a hint that something was wrong. "You know tonight is your brother's birthday," she began to explain, "and the Hokage called me to tell you to attend the birthday party, so that's why she had come." I thought, a pang of disappointment piercing me as I noticed her hesitation. I realized there was more behind her words, something she was hiding from me. "You came just for that?" I asked, noticing the doubt on her face. She remained silent for a moment, as if struggling with her own thoughts. Then, without looking directly at me, she began to walk away. "So I mean so little to you that you won't tell me what you're clearly hiding?" I asked with frustration and disappointment. She stopped in her tracks, and when she turned, her eyes shone with an intensity that took my breath away. Her Sharingan was activated, staring at me intently. "You'll never understand," was her simple response before she left. "Wait!" I exclaimed, trying to stop her. "What are you hiding? Please, Itomi, tell me." But she was already gone, leaving me with more questions than answers. I stayed there, in the middle of the forest, trying to decipher what Itomi had meant. A sigh escaped my lips as I set aside my concerns. Focusing on what I knew best, I immersed myself in training as if there were no tomorrow. With the techniques I had learned from my parents' scrolls, I could master almost all their abilities, and I hadn't neglected my study of Fuinjutsu. As a good descendant of the Uzumaki, Fuinjutsu was like second nature to me. Thanks to my Fuinjutsu skills, I had perfected the Byakugo no In technique, adapting it to my own needs and greatly enhancing my physical and healing abilities. But each improvement had its price. When deactivating the technique, my body would be tense and overloaded, leaving me vulnerable and unable to continue fighting. I had come to accept that sacrifice as part of the path to an almost divine level. With a simple seal, I summoned a magnificent sword and began to practice the Uzumaki clan stances. As I made hundreds of movements with the sword, I set aside my frustrations and focused on each move until they were perfect. I frowned because my brothers had always been the spoiled and loved ones of the family, while I was left behind. But that didn't matter now. What mattered was continuing to train and improve, no matter what others thought. With each swing of my sword, I strove to perfect my technique, channeling my chakra through the blade to increase its destructive power. For me, precision and agility were not enough. I preferred brute force and the ability to crush my enemies with overwhelming power. I looked up and saw the sun beginning to set, tinting the horizon with golden and orange hues. "Just a little more until those brats' birthday," I muttered in annoyance. It was immature to be upset with my brothers, but being so spoiled, they had become quite unbearable. I gripped my sword tightly, feeling its reassuring weight in my hands as I resumed practicing the Uzumaki style of my clan. My ancestors were agile and precise with the sword, but I, by nature, prefer to be more savage, I reflected aloud while infusing my sword with chakra. I prefer to focus on power and taking down the enemy with a single blow. Try this. I shouted as I executed a simple thrust, and the tree in front of me crumbled under the force of my sword. I had been swinging my sword for hours, using the gravity seals on my body and weapon to strengthen my muscles, enduring an unbearable load. Reaching my limit, I decided it was time for a well-deserved break. Ugh, a bath would be nice, I murmured to myself as I headed towards a nearby lagoon. I submerged myself in the cool water, letting the tension dissipate. However, my moment of calm was interrupted by the feeling of being watched. "You can stop hiding and come out," I said, looking around to find the intruder. It didn't take long for a young woman to cautiously emerge from behind a nearby bush. With her reddish-brown hair and green eyes, she exuded a captivating beauty. Despite being unclothed, I quickly stood up, summoned my weapon with a hand gesture, and adopted a defensive stance. "State your name and purpose, stranger," I demanded, keeping my guard up. The woman seemed surprised by my reaction, but soon she smiled, a smile I couldn't decipher as genuine. "I'm Terumi," she introduced herself calmly. My senses remained alert to her presence, aware that any sudden move could be a threat. Terumi spoke in a calm voice. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Uzumaki. All the reports about you are true. I can sense great strength in you." Wasting no time, I threw a kunai at her, but with surprising agility, she caught it in the air before it could reach her. "I have no intention of harming you," she said. "I just came to talk to you." I frowned, keeping my guard up. "What do you want?" She smiled slightly, and without warning, she threw a kunai in my direction. I quickly reacted, catching it in my hand before it could pierce my face. Upon inspecting the kunai, I discovered it bore a message. But when I looked up, Terumi was already gone. I began to read the letter, letting each word resonate in my mind. "Dear Naruto, son of the yellow flash and the red-hot habanero." The words hit me like a punch. How did she know about my parents? Fury began to burn inside me as I continued reading. "I want to invite you to join the rebel forces of Kirigakura against the 4th Mizukage." My fists clenched in indignation. How dare she ask me to betray my village, my home? But then I wondered, was Konoha really my home? I dismissed the thought and kept reading. "Konoha doesn't want to intervene in the war, but as a sensor ninja, I felt a powerful chakra, almost as intense as that of the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, and I investigated you." A sense of invasion took hold of me. How dare she spy on my personal matters? Finally, I reached the end of the letter. "If you decide to help us, I'll give you what this village could never offer you." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. What could this woman offer me that Konoha couldn't? No, I needed nothing from her. My loyalty was with my village, my friends, my home. But again, I was annoyed, as Konoha had done nothing for me, but I remembered I had my friend Itomi and would soon be the leader of the Uzumaki clan. Who does this woman think she is? I murmured. How dare she assume what I want? She doesn't know me, yet she speaks as if she does. With a gesture of contempt, I crumpled the note in my hands, feeling the rage burn in my chest. But it wasn't so much about the letter, but rather because I wasn't happy in this village, though for the few I cared about, I would stay in my home. I let the paper drop to the ground with a disdainful gesture. If my parents sent Itomi for something so trivial, it means something important will happen at the estate during my brother's party. I sighed in frustration, finished my bath, and decided to wear my favorite clothes. With a quick hand seal, I materialized my fitted black suit that allowed agile movements, leather boots reinforced with metal that resonated on the ground as I walked, and the yellow cloak that billowed behind me, giving me a style distinct from conventional ninjas. I couldn't forget the white furry scarf, similar to Tobirama Senju's, which completed my ensemble. Hee, I murmured to myself as I adjusted the scarf around my neck. I don't follow the standard ninja fashion, but this is my unique style, and I won't let anyone take it away from me. With determined steps, I left the forest and headed towards my parents' estate, ready to witness how they celebrated their 3 favorite children while I watched from afar. As I walked, the villagers' murmurs reached my ears. Isn't that the Hokage's despised son? Shoo, he might hear us. They say he was thrown out of the house for being weak. It's just a rumor, you know. But I've heard his younger brothers are stronger. Shut up, he's looking at us. The villagers' hurtful comments began to bother me, but I decided not to give them the satisfaction of seeing me affected. Instead, I let a hint of my power show so they would never disrespect me again. My eyes, normally blue, turned crimson as the Kyuubi's chakra flooded my being, transforming my gaze into that of the Kyuubi itself. Silence, humans, or I'll devour you, I roared with a demonic voice that made some of them faint. After seeing that, I gave a slight smile and said to myself, it's very little, but little by little I will expand the demonic chakra of the Kyuubi within me. As I saw several clan chiefs and high-level ninjas entering the Uzumaki Namikaze complex, a sigh escaped my lips. Do I really have to go? I had no desire to waste time at a meeting that would probably be boring and pointless. There was a moment of silence until I felt the arms of Itomi Uchiha wrapping around me from behind. Yes, silly, and you'll be with your cute and sexy friend, Itomi said with a smile. Usually, I would have returned her hug with a smile or a loving gesture, but in recent weeks I felt that something was changing between us. Itomi spent less time with me, and her closeness was no longer as comforting as it used to be. Clearly, she was hiding something from me, and before arriving here, I discovered what her former friend was hiding. Hey, Naru, why so serious? Her voice pulled me out of my thoughts, but I still couldn't force a genuine smile. I simply continued walking, pulling away from Itomi's embrace, but I responded without turning around. I'm not a fool. Remember, I've been alone my whole life, and I know when I'm being lied to. Also, remember, we're just companions. I sensed that my words hurt her, and I understood why. Over the years, I had confessed my feelings to her, and she had rejected me. Despite that, I still considered her my only friend. However, tonight I discovered what she had been hiding from me, and I accepted that truth. Now, there was only one thing that tied me to this village, my future role as the head of the Uzumaki clan. As I entered the party, the festive atmosphere that filled the place didn't manage to dissipate the heaviness that always lingered in my heart. I ignored everyone present, lost in my own thoughts. Why keep pretending when all I wanted was to escape from here? If the world is against you, why not punch it in the face? I murmured to myself, trying to find some humor amidst my discontent. Although my attempt was clumsy, it brought a fleeting smile to my face due to my logic of seeing the world. The party proceeded normally, but something unexpected happened. An unexpected twist that changed everything. The motivation I once had to stay in this village completely vanished. Naruto watched helplessly as reality unfolded before his eyes, stripping him of the last thing he had. Minato, his father, stood in the center of the party, surrounded by his wife and their 2 children. With pride in his voice, he announced, "Today, on this special day, my 3 children, Mito, Kyo, and Rika, have reached the Jonin level. Due to their undeniable potential, they will be granted their well-deserved roles." Kushina, his mother, stepped forward. "I am passing my title to Mito, who will be the next head of the Uzumaki clan." Then it was Minato's turn. "I will grant the leadership of the clan to my son Rika Namikaze. Additionally, I will personally oversee the training of my daughter Kyo Namikaze so she can become the next Hokage." Cheers and expressions of joy filled the place, but Naruto remained silent, with a pained heart. Deep down, fury and frustration burned within him. He longed to shout, to run, to fight for his rightful place as the clan leader, as the firstborn of the family. But for what? He knew he lacked the village's support, and without it, what sense would it make to fight? Naruto stayed there, speaking to himself, "Why do I feel like I will never fit in this place? I think it's time to leave." Kushina, like any mother, could distinguish her eldest son among the crowd and caught a glimpse of sadness and disappointment on his face. She instantly recognized that she hadn't provided the affection and attention he needed during his upbringing. But now, with her children capable of fending for themselves, it was time to make up for lost time. "Sorry, Minato, I need to step out for a moment," Kushina said, addressing her husband. Minato didn't have a chance to respond before Kushina headed towards her eldest son, who was already starting to walk away from the place. She barely reached him outside the Uzumaki Namikaze complex. "Wait, son!" Kushina shouted. Naruto stopped and turned to face his mother with a neutral expression on his face. "What's the matter, mother?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Kushina didn't know what to say. She remembered how expressive and cheerful her son used to be as a child. She remained silent for a moment, searching for the right words to address the situation. With a voice full of doubt and concern, she asked, "Do you hate me?" Naruto was surprised by the question, and although he wanted to deny it, he knew he had to be honest. "And no, Mom. I don't hate you. It's just that I feel like I've been left out. Like I don't matter in this life." Kushina felt a pang in her heart upon hearing her son's words. "Naruto, I know I've made mistakes. I know I haven't given you the love and attention you deserved. But I want you to know that you've always been important to me. Always." Naruto looked at her, trying to find sincerity in her eyes. "Then why did you never show it to me? Why was I always the one who had to fight alone, while Mito, Kyo, and Rika received all your love?" Kushina nodded sadly, understanding her son's emotions. She approached and hugged him tenderly, feeling how her absence had hurt her son. "I'm so sorry, Naruto. I have no excuse, but I want you to know that I love you more than you can imagine. And from now on, I'll do everything I can to show it." Naruto returned the hug with strength, feeling the maternal love he had longed for. However, his determination was clear. "I know, Mom. And I believe you. But I can't keep living here. It's not a place where I feel at home." Kushina pulled away from the hug, surprised by her son's statement. Her gray-violet eyes reflected the worry and fear of losing her son. "Naruto, you can't do that. This is your home, your family is here. Where do you plan to go?" Naruto looked at her firmly, feeling it was time to be honest about his feelings and desires. "I want to explore the world, Mom. I want to find my place, where I can be accepted and feel truly at home. I can't do that here." Kushina was shocked by her son's words, but she also felt a pang of pain realizing how much he had suffered in Konoha. She pleaded with Naruto to reconsider his decision, but he was determined to follow his own path. "Naruto, please," she began, but the words caught in her throat, as if just saying them was a titanic effort. Naruto looked at her with a mix of surprise and desperation. He didn't understand why his mother opposed his desire to leave Konoha so strongly. To him, the village was just a place where he didn't feel at home. "Mother, I've already made my decision. I don't want to live a life where I can't be myself, where I can't grow and find my true path, and where I'm not happy." Kushina saw the determination in her son's eyes and knew nothing would stop him. But the fear of losing him consumed her. She knew that if she allowed him to leave, she might never see him again. Desperate, she sought a solution to prevent Naruto from leaving the village. "Naruto, I can't let you go. You're my son, and my duty is to protect you, even from yourself." Naruto frowned, feeling the tension in the air. "What do you mean by that?" Kushina dried her tears and adopted a serious look, trying to stay calm. She took a fighting stance. "If you insist on leaving Konoha, I'll have to stop you. If necessary, I'll take you to prison for betraying your home." Naruto stepped back, incredulous at his mother's words. "Are you willing to imprison your own son for wanting to find his way?" "You can't do this," he exclaimed, his voice trembling with confusion and the pain of being betrayed by the person who brought him into the world. Kushina, heartbroken but determined, began to elevate her chakra, ready to fight to keep her son even if he hated her. "I'm sorry, Naruto. I don't want to do this, but it's for your own good," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. You can't leave, I can't let you. I'll stop you and you'll stay where you belong. The mother-son bond shattered, and Kushina could see what she had done by the betrayed look on her son's face. I'm sorry, Naru, Kushina murmured. I didn't want it to come to this. But what else can I do? The expression on Naruto's face hardened, reflecting a cold and calculated determination. What else can you do? He repeated incredulously. You could trust me, mother. You could support me, even just once. But it seems that's too much to ask, isn't it? There was a tense moment of silence, broken only by Kushina's choked sob. Naruto, I'm sorry, Kushina murmured, her words barely audible between sobs. The young Uzumaki remained silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on his mother. You don't have to say anything else, mother, he said firmly. I've made my decision. Kushina, with trembling hands, wiped away the relentless tears. Tell me, son, how should I have acted? Tell me. Kushina screamed in desperation, her voice trembling with the anguish she felt inside. Naruto frowned, staring intensely at his mother. You should have acted like a mother, but it's too late, he said bitterly as he looked up at the starry sky. Kushina, her heart heavy, took a step forward, extending a trembling hand. Naruto, please, don't do this. Don't leave. We can fix this, I promise. Naruto shook his head, determination hardening his features. No, Mom. I can't stay in a place that doesn't let me be who I am. If you really love me, let me go and find my own way. Kushina collapsed to her knees, her sobs filling the night air. Naruto, how can I let you go? How can I bear to see you walk away from us? Naruto approached and gently placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. You're not losing me, Mom. I'm just seeking what I need. I'll find my way, and when I do, I'll come back. But for now, let me be free. Kushina looked up, her tear-filled eyes meeting her son's. Promise me you'll come back. Promise me you won't forget me. Naruto nodded with a small smile. I promise. I'll never forget you. And I'll visit when the time is right. Naruto took a step forward, his gaze fixed on his mother's. Before I leave, I want to tell you something, and I need to know if you knew, he said firmly. Kushina nodded, her heart pounding as she awaited her son's words. Ever since I was sidelined, there were only two things keeping me in this village, Naruto continued, his tone filled with resignation. One was the day I would inherit the position of the Uzumaki clan and honor my ancestors, and the other was the love I felt for Itomi. Naruto's words surprised Kushina, who looked away guiltily. You knew I liked Itomi, didn't you? Naruto asked, noticing his mother's reaction. Kushina remained silent, unable to face her son's gaze. Naruto's confession left her speechless, not knowing how to respond. Naruto, I don't understand what you mean, she finally said, trying to evade the impending truth. In the past few weeks, I've noticed a change in her, Naruto continued, never taking his eyes off his mother. So I sent several clones to gather information all this time. And today, I dispelled them. Do you know what I discovered? He asked insistently, seeking to know if his mother was involved in what he had uncovered. Kushina swallowed hard, feeling cornered by her son's words. Naruto, it's not what you think, she responded, her voice trembling, desperately seeking some understanding in Naruto's eyes. Sometimes things aren't what they seem. Naruto smiled ironically as he observed his mother. My siblings have several arranged commitments for when they turn 18, he said firmly. And one of the women I saw among those commitments was Itomi Uchiha. Naruto's words hit Kushina like a punch in the stomach. Her heart raced, and a knot formed in her throat. I can cancel it, she said desperately, feeling the turbulent emotions of her son enveloping her. As a sensory ninja, she could feel the torrent of hatred and resentment emanating from him, and it filled her with anguish. Naruto shook his head, a hint of sadness in his expression. If she truly loved me, she would have fought to be with me. But her signature on that document says it all. Ultimately, she never loved me, he murmured with a mix of resignation and disappointment. Then, he turned his gaze to a light post. Isn't that right, Itomi? He added with a smile devoid of warmth, observing the woman's reaction and seeing a hint of sadness in her demeanor. Itomi, who had remained hidden in the shadows, stepped into the light, her expression somber. It was all for the sake of my clan, she said with conviction, trying to justify her decision. Someone like you, without any political power, wouldn't be a support for my clan. Naruto looked at her with a mixture of sadness and disillusionment. I always knew the Uchiha clan valued power and political influence, but I thought you were different, he said, his voice breaking. I thought our bond was genuine. Itomi took a step forward, trying to reach Naruto with her hand. Naruto, it's not that simple. Clan decisions are complex. I didn't want it to be this way. Naruto stepped back, avoiding her touch. It doesn't matter anymore, Itomi. I've made my decision. I'm leaving this village. Kushina, feeling her world collapse, made one last plea. Naruto, please, think about it. Don't act rashly. We can fix this, I promise. Naruto looked at her with a mixture of love and pain. Mom, you're not losing me. I'm just seeking what I need. I'll find my way, and when I do, I'll come back. But for now, let me be free. Kushina, her heart filled with conflicting emotions, turned to Itomi, furious at the words she had said earlier. He's my son, how dare you say that to him, she yelled, her face reflecting anger and frustration. Itomi looked at her with a mix of defiance and hatred. Don't blame me, Kushina-sama. Tell me, if you, as clan leader, were to commit to a genin, would you accept it? Kushina remained silent, stunned by Itomi's question, recalling her son's situation, who still remained a mere genin. As she processed her words, Itomi continued with even more anger. And as if that weren't enough, everyone knows your eldest son was disinherited. Although it was just a rumor before, today's actions confirmed it because by not inheriting anything, he was expelled from both clans. So, regardless of my feelings, I can't be with someone without a clan or prestige. Hearing everything, Kushina realized her mistake. She turned to see her son, whose expressionless face revealed the weight of the pain and anguish he had carried for so long. That impassive face, hiding a sea of repressed emotions, was tearing her heart apart with unbearable intensity. Slowly, she approached him and caressed his cheek with her hand, seeking to comfort him as she did when it was just the two of them and everything was perfect. That touch brought a torrent of memories of simpler, happier days when the bond and love between mother and son were everything. But now, amid conflict and pain, all that seemed so distant and far away. I'm sorry, my little one, all this is my fault, she said with a trembling voice, struggling to hold back the tears threatening to escape her eyes. Remember that an apology doesn't fix anything, Naruto said, his decision already made, disappearing in a shunshin. Upon reaching the main gate of Konoha, he encountered a sudden obstacle, a fire jutsu that he quickly had to dodge. He fixed his gaze on Itomi. If you attack me again, I assure you I'll take one of your eyes, he warned seriously, making it clear he was ready to respond with force if necessary. With great agility, Naruto used a wood substitution to evade her attack. In an instant, Kushina touched the log and activated several sealing arrays. Naruto looked at her with growing anger. Mother, if you attack me again, I will no longer recognize you as my mother, and I will be forced to take more drastic measures, he said, showing his determination and the seriousness of the situation. Kushina, torn by an internal conflict, couldn't accept losing her son. However, her heart and mind kept insisting she had to try one more time, that she could still recover him. Naruto, determined to leave Konoha and those who had betrayed him, continued his path. But his determination was interrupted by a sudden attack from Kushina and Itomi. Anger took hold of Naruto. I warned you, he murmured coldly, activating the Byakugo no In and executing a series of precise strikes to their chakra points. Both women fell to the ground, coughing up blood from the impact. Itomi was gravely injured, while Kushina, with great effort, tried to get up. How is this possible? These moves are characteristic of the Hyuga clan, Kushina gasped, feeling the pain of the blows. But where did you get that technique? Naruto proudly pointed to his forehead. This technique rightfully belongs to me, and since I've been exiled from your clan, you don't deserve an answer, he responded firmly, holding his gaze with his mother's. Kushina's diamond chains shot out at great speed, ready to attack. Just millimeters away from piercing him, she stopped, surprised by his lack of reaction. Why didn't you move? She asked in bewilderment. I don't need to move, Naruto murmured before summoning his katana and enveloping it with dense chakra. Personal technique, deep cut, he announced, swinging the sword ferociously. A powerful wave of chakra struck Kushina, leaving her unconscious on the ground. Naruto approached Itomi, whose eyes reflected a mix of pain and desperation. Though she tried to speak, her words barely reached his ears. Without hesitation, he reached for her eyes and tore one out, ignoring her scream of pain. Ah! Without stopping, he headed towards his mother. His hands rested on her abdomen as he absorbed the residual chakra of the Kyuubi. Before leaving, he heard a barely audible whisper escape Itomi's lips. Do you no longer love me? She asked with a trembling voice. Without hesitation, Naruto responded firmly. No. If you care so much about your clan status, then stay with that. But I won't love someone like that. Then, he turned his gaze to the side, knowing there was nothing more to say. Come out and stop hiding, I'll accept your offer, he said calmly, ready to take the next step on his path. Terumi appeared, and without wasting time, Naruto left the village. Despite Itomi's cries and tears, there was no turning back. The words of regret and promises to break her engagement came too late. The damage was done, and Naruto had a new goal, a new life ahead. Kushina, wounded and defeated, watched her son disappear into the distance. With tears in her eyes, she realized she had lost something irreplaceable. The bond between mother and son, once strong and solid, was now completely broken. Mei approached Itomi with an expression of compassion and reproach. You're very naive. If you had been honest from the beginning, you would have had him all to yourself, she commented with some resignation, observing the pain reflected in Itomi's eyes. Itomi looked down with sadness, her words laden with regret. I had no other choice, she murmured, lamenting the decisions that had brought her to this point. My clan did my responsibilities. Mei shook her head, sighing with a hint of resignation. If you truly loved Naruto, you would have found a way, she said firmly, her tone blending disapproval and empathy. Then, a mischievous glint lit her eyes as she added with a smile, but now he'll be just mine. Itomi looked up, seeing the determination in Mei's eyes. What do you plan to do with him? She asked, her voice trembling with a mix of concern and resignation. Mei smiled with a touch of amusement. I'm going to give him what he never had here, respect, support, and a home where he truly feels accepted. I'll make him realize his true worth and potential, she replied with conviction. Itomi closed her eyes, a solitary tear rolling down her cheek. I just hope he finds the happiness he deserves, she murmured, more to herself than to Mei. Mei leaned toward Itomi, her eyes reflecting a mix of compassion and determination. Don't worry. I'll do everything in my power to ensure he finds it, she promised before turning and following Naruto, leaving Itomi with her thoughts and regrets. As she walked away, Mei couldn't help but think about the irony of the situation. She had come to Konoha with an offer of an alliance that had been rejected, but now she had a much more personal purpose. Naruto, I promise you'll never feel alone again, she whispered to herself, ready to start a new chapter with him. Mei was about to use a shunshin to catch up with Naruto when she heard a weak voice behind her. Wait, Kushina said, struggling to get up from the ground. Mei stopped and turned to look at Kushina, who, despite being visibly injured and exhausted, had a determined look in her eyes. With effort, Kushina approached Mei, holding onto a wall to stay upright. Please, take care of my son, Kushina said with a broken voice, her eyes filled with tears. I know you're taking Naruto because he's decided to go, and I can't stop him. But I beg you to protect him and make him happy. Give him the love and support I couldn't provide. Mei nodded solemnly, moved by the pain in Kushina's words. You can be sure I will, Mei responded firmly. I'll do everything possible to ensure Naruto finds the happiness he deserves. I'll care for him with all my heart. Hearing these words, Kushina let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, Mei. Please tell him I love him and that I'll always be waiting for his return, she added, her voice trembling as more tears streamed down her face. Mei bowed slightly to Kushina, showing respect. I will. And I promise to let him know how much you love him. Goodbye, Kushina. Kushina nodded weakly, watching as Mei disappeared and now stood next to her son, seeing them move away. Goodbye, Naru-chan. I hope you can forgive me one day, she whispered, feeling a mix of sadness and hope as she watched them disappear into the distance. After a few hours of walking, Naruto spoke with determination, his blue eyes shining with seriousness. If you don't give me what I desire most, then, he began. Mei interrupted him with a sly smile. I understand, Naruto. Trust me, I will fulfill every one of your wishes, and you'll never want to leave Kiri. And who knows, you might even find love, she responded confidently, then turned her gaze to the path ahead. Help defeat the Yondaime Mizukichi, and you will be rewarded. Her tone changed to a more serious one, reflecting her hatred for Yagura and his indiscriminate slaughter. Naruto frowned, feeling a mix of distrust and curiosity. Why should I believe you? I have no reason to trust you, he asked cautiously, searching for any sign of truth in Mei's eyes. Mei kept her gaze steady, not backing down from Naruto's distrust. Because I've given you my word, Naruto. And when I commit to something, I always follow through, she responded seriously, trying to convince him. Besides, defeating the Yondaime Mizukichi will not only be beneficial for me but also for you and all the inhabitants of Kiri, Mei added, pointing towards the horizon with determination. He has sown chaos and suffering in our village for too long. It's time to end it, and I know you are the key to bringing peace. Alright, Mei, Naruto finally said firmly. I'll help you defeat the Yondaime Mizukichi and restore peace in Kiri. But remember, if you betray me, there won't be a place where you can hide from me. Naruto received no response and grew annoyed, turning towards Mei. His eyes widened when he saw her kissing him, and he immediately pulled away, blushing. What a shameless woman, he muttered with a scowl. Mei chuckled at Naruto's reaction, amused by his surprised expression. Oh, come on, Naruto, don't be so serious, she joked, ignoring his complaint. I just wanted to celebrate our agreement of collaboration. Naruto frowned, still confused by Mei's sudden kiss. We don't need to celebrate anything, he murmured, feeling uncomfortable. Mei winked at him playfully, her mischievous smile evident on her face. Oh, come on, where's your sense of humor, Naruto, she teased, moving a bit closer. But you haven't seen anything yet. When we defeat Yagura, I'll reward you with something much better. Naruto was perplexed by Mei's suggestion. Better than what? He asked distrustfully, unsure of what to expect. Mei laughed at Naruto's confused expression and his clear innocence about her suggestion. That's something you'll have to discover for yourself, she responded enigmatically, before turning and starting to walk. But for now, we have a Yondaime Mizukichi to defeat. And a Kiri to restore. Meanwhile, Itomi was in her room, struggling with her own feelings. She had lost Naruto, the man she secretly loved, but she had also lost her integrity by prioritizing the clan's needs over her heart. Although Mei had been harsh with her words, she knew Mei was right. If she had truly loved Naruto, she would have fought for him, not for the clan's power. Damn it, why was I so weak? Itomi murmured with tears in her eyes, feeling the weight of her mistake. The bandage over her injured eye was a constant reminder of the consequences of her decisions. On the other hand, at the Uzumaki Namikaze estate, Kushina was overwhelmed by guilt and remorse. She had lost her firstborn son, whom she had loved and then neglected and hurt without realizing it. Sadness and regret engulfed her as she hated herself for acting without considering the consequences. "I'm sorry, Naru-chan, I was horrible," she whispered between sobs, feeling the pain of her regret. Outside her room, Minato felt equally desolate and confused, trying to find a way to make amends for the pain they had caused their son. Far from Konoha, Mei and Naruto continued their journey to Kirigakure, each lost in their own thoughts. Naruto still wondered what Mei's promise could mean, while she kept her eyes fixed on the goal, defeating the Yondaime Mizukage and restoring peace in the village hidden in the mist. As they approached Kirigakure, the tension in the air became palpable. Naruto recalled the reports about the Yondaime Mizukage and how, overnight, he went mad and plunged the village into a state of war. He knew it wouldn't be an easy task to face such a powerful enemy, but he was determined to defeat him and prove the results of his training. "Your end will come by my hands, Yagura Karatachi, just wait and see," Naruto thought, excited for the battle. When they finally reached the outskirts of Kirigakure, they were met by resistance ninjas. After a few weeks of preparation, Mei and Naruto took some ninjas under their command and led them into battle. He and Mei's platoon advanced towards the village to reclaim it from the hands of the tyrant Jinchuriki, where the Yondaime Mizukage was located. The start of the battle was intense and ruthless, with ninjas from both sides fighting with all their might and dying. Naruto was injured but for the first time was able to put his skills to use and was enjoying the fight. "Huh, well done, Yondaime. You truly deserve the title of the perfect Jinchuriki," Naruto said with excitement. The Yondaime was calm, and his wounds were healing. "It seems you don't like to talk," Naruto said with a playful smile, "so I'll make you talk." He threw his sword like a projectile, and Yagura ducked to avoid it. To everyone's surprise, Naruto disappeared in a red flash. "Surprise, bitch!" Naruto exclaimed, appearing behind Yagura with his sword in hand. Technique 2, Dance of Blood Petals. The sword, imbued with the chakra of the Kyubi, took on a red hue, and Naruto executed a series of 100 cuts at high speed in 2 seconds, creating the illusion of thousands of red petals. "Damn it!" Yagura shouted, as he defended himself with Isabu's chakra, though he received several cuts. Naruto didn't miss the opportunity. First technique, Deep Cut. He made a cut, and a column of chakra struck the Yondaime. "Damn you!" the Jinchuriki shouted as he was dragged by the attack and then exploded. Mei, seeing the power of Naruto's techniques, was stunned by the incredible skill and determination of the young ninja. "He's amazing," she thought, admiring the tenacity and strength he displayed in battle. "If we keep this up, we can defeat Yagura and bring peace back to Kirigakure." All the shinobi watched in awe as the battle momentarily came to a halt. A column of red chakra rose into the air, and the Yondaime's Biju made its presence known. The rebel side began to drop their weapons, thinking it was the end. The Yondaime's followers celebrated, confident in their leader's invincibility. "What do you think you're doing?" Naruto shouted furiously, his voice echoing across the battlefield. "Didn't you want freedom? Don't you want to live your lives peacefully without the fear of some lunatic killing you? I know few of you know me, but if you can't believe in me, then believe in her." In a shunshin, Mei appeared, bearing some wounds but a smile on her face. "You're really good with words." Naruto chuckled slightly, a spark of determination in his eyes. "My life might have been trash, but I carry the will of my ancestors, and that's why I'll protect all of you, because you're my family." That comment surprised Mei and all the ninjas, both enemies and allies alike. Mei, with a look of astonishment, asked, "What do you mean by that, Naruto?" "The Uzumaki were the original inhabitants of Kiri," Naruto explained, looking at Mei. "Or rather, a part of my family migrated to Kiri and shared their techniques and bloodlines with you." Mei was wide-eyed with surprise. Naruto saw her reaction and laughed, then gently covered Mei's mouth with his hand. "Hee hee, ever wonder why your hair is similar to the red tone of our clan? Tears welled up in Mei's eyes as she was moved by the revelation, knowing she was the last of the Terumi clan. Naruto embraced her gently. It's because your clan descended from the Uzumaki clan. Mei couldn't hold back her tears, never expecting to have family again after the Terumi clan's massacre. Naruto then looked at all the ninjas and shouted, as the leader of the new Uzumaki clan, I will defend the descendants of my ancestors. Blue and red chakra surged from Naruto, enveloping him in an imposing aura. He directed a challenging gaze at the Biju. I'll show you the pinnacle of an Uzumaki. Naruto yelled for all to hear. With a leap, he positioned himself above Isabu. Growling, roared the Biju, and without hesitation, it launched a Bijudama that caused a massive explosion upon impact. Everyone was frightened, but a cry from Naruto brought them hope. I won't die today, you bastard. Naruto shouted as he emerged from the smoke of the explosion, and everyone was astonished at how injured he was, yet more surprised as his wounds began to heal. Naruto descended with his fist back, approaching the Biju. Try this on for size, bitch. A single punch sent the immense creature flying. With his fist extended, a smile on his face and his best technique, the activated Byakugo, Naruto showcased his power. Still in the air, Naruto summoned his sword. Third technique, dimensional cut. All the chakra gathered in the sword, and with a slash, an immense column of chakra manifested and clashed with the Biju. A flash illuminated the battlefield, and then, boom, an explosion that echoed throughout the ninja continent. The explosion reached the skies and caused the perpetually cloudy sky to clear, revealing a sunny day. What the hell, muttered one of Yagura's allied ninjas. That guy isn't human, thought others as they dropped to the ground in astonishment, letting go of their weapons. Naruto chuckled quietly to himself as he descended rapidly towards the ground, fainting from excessive chakra usage. Before crashing, Mei intervened, catching him with a gentle smile on her face. You're truly on another level. I swear, for what you've done, Mei Terumi, will make you happy. After saying that, she kissed him on the lips. She looked at Yagura's lifeless body lying there and saw a fissure so large she knew it would become a great lake once the rain filled the hole. Naruto opened his eyes slightly, with a tired but satisfied expression, and surveyed the battlefield. With a whisper, he spoke, Mei, this is just the beginning. Kiri needs to rebuild, and they'll need someone to guide them. They need you. Mei nodded, still holding him close. I know, Naruto. But with your help, I know we can do it. You're more than an ally, you're the hope Kiri needs. Naruto smiled. Then let's do it together. As a new family, a new beginning for me, for you, and for all of Kiri. After rebuilding Kiri, you owe me a date, and I won't accept a no as an answer. Naruto leaned back into Mei's comforting embrace and replied, sure thing, Pervy-chan. A blush spread across Mei's cheeks, but she had other things to attend to now. She marched confidently to where her army was gathered. She looked at them and shouted, today, we are free. Everyone cheered with excitement. That day marked the end of a Mizukage, but it was the beginning of another legend, one so great it would overshadow all the Kages of the ninja continent. The story of Naruto Uzumaki, who would someday have the power to unite or destroy the world. End of story. Coming soon, the continuation. Hello everyone, if there are any issues with the English translation, I apologize. I'm trying my best to ensure that the English version is as good as possible. Remember to support the channel so we can continue providing the English version.